can a child have behaviour issues that are related to language difficulties? And why would a speech and language pathologist be interested in that? A lot of children that are referred to us are described as having behaviour difficulties. They won't do what we ask them to do, they don't listen properly, they can't tell us what happened, they get upset quickly, they get frustrated quickly. There's lots and lots of behavioural reactions to having language problems. And sometimes these kids go down the behaviour route first, and people don't consider that the child might actually have some language problems. And there's some interesting information out there. This is a fairly recent 2003 article by Willinger in Canadian Journal of Psychiatry. Language plays an important role in the cognitive, social, emotional and behavioural development of children. Almost everything. Therefore, impairment in language development may have a serious impact on cognitive and psychosocial development. So what I want to do is just to alert you to the fact that this is a major consideration when we're looking at a child with behaviour problems. So if I have to go and sit in a high-level math lecture, what behaviours would you expect me to exhibit? I would become quite passive, because I know I wouldn't understand a word. I'd probably be texting if I had my cell phone with me. I'd be staring out the window, I'd be planning to do other things, I'd be getting really cross, I might be getting quite sick in my stomach because we're going to have a test. I don't understand a thing. I feel ashamed that I don't understand it. I'm not going to ask for clarification because I'll look a fool in front of everybody else. I'll start getting really angry, then I'll start getting stroppy, and then I might even just have a panic attack and walk out the room. This is normal behaviour, but we don't allow our kids to exhibit some of those behaviours and talk about them in a way that's acceptable within a classroom situation, because we immediately assume that the child is in control of their behaviour and they're just choosing to do that. But if they don't understand a word of what's going on, they're not choosing to behave like that. This is a normal emotional and behavioural reaction to being in a very difficult situation. So in a school system, we learn to talk and we're talking to learn. We're using language for two different purposes. So language and communication are the principal means by which students and teachers interact. So if you've got an impairment, you've already been disadvantaged. And it's also the actual content. You're actually learning vocabulary, you're learning grammar, you're learning how to talk, you're learning how to produce a narrative and do a story structure. So everything around education is about language. So it's the means by which we deliver the curriculum, and it actually is the curriculum that we're delivering. So any child with a language problem has got a double whammy in the school system. So it's really, really crucial from my point of view that we try to understand this, because you as teachers can really make some adaptations that can lessen the impact of that. And some of it is stuff, most of it actually is stuff you're already doing. It's just maybe upping the ante on those things that you're already doing. Try and keep an open mind. That might be another explanation for why this child is behaving in the way they are. And try and think about that it could be that the child has problems with some skills, whether it's language, communication, vocabulary. Thinking about whether that could be the problem. And therefore, if that's the case, that we think the child doesn't know how to actually do this behaviour, to have a true behaviour problem where you know what the behaviour is, you know the behaviour that is expected, but you just choose not to do it, is different from not actually knowing what's expected and not even knowing how to do it. That's a very different problem. So if we think, I'm talking about the second group of children. So we're trying to understand those kids. So how can we adapt as a teacher, as a school system, to try and reduce the stress level around that child?